I am so excited to be here with Lorraine Dallmeier, a dear friend and mastermind buddy since years and years.
That's right. Thank you so much for having me, Sigrun. It is
Yeah.
wonderful to be on your show.
I'm trying to figure out where the camera is. So I think I'll put it over here. So you're in your new office. It's looking lovely.
Yes, very green and botanical. Totally on brand.
Totally on brand. So Formula Botanica this year, this has been a crazy year.
It has.
I want to talk a bit about that. What is this year like with COVID and everything happening? It seems like everyone wants to go online, and you were already having quite a surge, but things have exploded. Take us back to the beginning of the year. What were you working on then?
Well, I mean, we thought it was just going to be a normal year, We expected it to be, I think I expected about 30-40% growth. I mean, we had big plans. I hadn't expected COVID. No one had, obviously. And then it hit in March, and I was sat there watching everyone sort of go to ground, and all these business owners sort of go, what am I going to do? And yeah, the first thing I did was I looked at our finances. I remember talking to you about this at the time.
Yes.
I looked at the company bank accounts, and I sort of went, okay, we're okay. We have a war chest, I'm very conservative in my financial planning. I always make sure that we have a big sort of cash reserve sat there, basically, just in case something was to go wrong. And so we had the cash reserve sat there to basically keep running the business for as long as we needed to, without too many sales coming in. So I basically said, okay, guys, no one has to take a pay cut. We don't have to lay anyone off. In fact, let's invest. So I started investing, basically. And yeah, things went a bit crazy after that.
Yeah. So investing, what is the first thing you invested in?
Well, the first thing I did was I was talking to some of our contractors, and some of them had lost most, if not all, of their clients overnight. And so the first thing I did was I made the call to invest more in them and use more of their time. And that was across the board. So we took on more people. The other thing I did was I started recruitment. And I remember everyone being like, it's an awful time. Everyone's losing their job. And I was like, yeah, let's put up a job advert. And I remember putting it on LinkedIn, and all of my connections being like, that's so good that you're doing that. So I actually started recruiting at the start of the pandemic as well. And I was doing some sums last night, actually, and we've taken on 26 new employees and long-term contractors this year.
26 new ones. Wow. And before that, you had how many?
I don't know off the top of my head, but we're now about 40. So I guess we had, there's obviously been some attrition throughout the year as well. So we had about, I think, 20, some people left throughout the year. So yeah, we're now at about 40 staff, which is exciting.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. Okay, so you didn't just hire people, you also decided to do some changes, like on the org chart or structure, systems, processes.
Yeah. I had to basically start hiring more managers. I knew I had to anyway. I mean, this was on the cards already. I just expected the growth to be slightly slower than obviously is what happened. So I knew I needed some senior leadership team, which I've now recruited, very excitingly. I knew I needed more line managers in place, which we've also recruited, and we haven't quite finished. We still have more positions to fill in 2021. In fact, we signed up on the budget and forecast earlier this morning.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's been insane. We've grown by 80% this year.
80% growth. Wow. Congratulations. I'm so happy for you.
Yeah, it's been a roller coaster, like totally overwhelming. And had I known what was going to happen at the beginning of the year, I might have done it completely differently. But when you're in the zone and you're in the moment, you just go with what feels like the right decision by your gut. So that's what I did. And here we now are at the end of the year. We sold £4 million, $5.3 million worth of courses in a year. Yeah. It's crazy. And our plans for next year are even bigger. So very exciting times.
Well, before we know it, it will be an 8-figure business.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. That is definitely on the cards. No doubt about it.
So why do you how do you think you could grow so quickly? Was it because you had laid the foundation previously?
Yes, it was all about the product. I mean, we have a product, we teach online, we teach people how to create their own organic formulations, turn it into a business potentially, make something for themselves. You know, you can see all the products behind me.
Yes.
All
Yeah.
these graduate
Yeah.
products
You have a
running.
great showroom there.
Exactly. My new office, I had to have the graduate products on show.
Yeah.
So we teach people how to make their own cosmetics with
Yeah.
using natural and botanical ingredients. And obviously lockdown was really well placed for that because people were at home. A lot of them had been furloughed or laid off from their job, and they wanted to learn a new skill. So the fact that we had that foundation, that really good product, was perfect because we were ready to go. And the other interesting thing is I've been talking to ingredient suppliers, and they were also saying that, you know, they've seen their orders triple, double during lockdown as well, because everyone was at home and wanted to learn a practical skill, and we were ready to go to teach them. So
Yeah.
I think, yeah, we were in a really, really good position. And obviously we have, I think about 1,300 5-star reviews. You know, we've proven that the product works as well.
Yeah.
So we had the reputation, we had the product, we had the systems and the infrastructure, we had some of the staff, now we have most of the staff, and we were ready to go. We didn't expect to have to go quite that fast and quite that far, but you know, everyone rose to the challenge, and my team has been amazing throughout the year. So it's been a really fun year, definitely.
Definitely fun doing all these changes, but also challenges. You know, I am doing team reviews actually exactly this week, and it's interesting to change from being an entrepreneur to a company. Now, you obviously had that in place a bit earlier, but now you kind of redesigned it for growth again.
Yeah.
To someone who is not there yet, can you explain a little bit how you've gone about that?
Well, I haven't got all the answers yet, but I feel that my role is really changing from entrepreneur to CEO. I'm not having to do all of the little details every single day. There are still some details I'm having to step in on, but it's not everywhere. And we laid the foundation by, first of all, thinking through the structure of the organization. You know, 6 years ago, it was just me. So it's quite crazy to look at where we've come. I have teams. So I have 3 different teams in the organization. They have team leaders. I have a leadership team above that. We've put a whole HR system in place, a whole reporting system in place. We're building a project management system and KPI reporting system at the moment. So we're creating the structures that allow for us to really handle the growth that's being thrown at us. And yeah, we'll be doing appraisals with staff in February as well. And that's all now documented, and there's a process for everything. And every single day we come across something new where we go, yeah, we need a new process for that. And we're just building it out. And that's how you grow, because then the next time you come up against that situation, you have a structure and a system for dealing with it effectively. It's a little bit dry and boring, and it's a little bit more corporate than I wanted, but that's the only way we can handle what we're doing right now. So yeah, we have to go through it.
Yeah, but it also it's fascinating because I know you so well that you have a very analytical approach to it, you know, versus a lot of entrepreneurs are good at starting a business. They're not so good at actually running it day to day or scaling it. And you have that skill of like, okay, here I've got an amazing idea, I can scale it up. How much do you think your personality, we can dive into Myers-Briggs and all that stuff, helps in actually doing this job?
I think it really helps. I mean, I've always been able to do big picture and detail. I remember, you know, getting really upset with my bosses when I used to work in paid employment because they couldn't do either. And I'd be like, what is wrong with you? Why can't you do this? But I sit there and I love planning. I mean, I trained as a project planner. I'm an environmental scientist and a biologist, but I spent effectively 15 years working as a project planner. And I love spreadsheets. And I talk about this a lot on a lot of my live streams. But, you know, even now I'm looking at my computer, I have like 4 open, and they're analyzing my launches. They're analyzing this year. They're analyzing total revenues in the company, like forecast for next year. It's all sat there. And I really get quite excited by by data, which sounds so geeky and boring. But you know what? The answers to growth sit in the data. And if you are not analyzing exactly what's happening, how can you know exactly where you need to go with your business? So it's of utmost importance. And I struggle to imagine how you would grow to 8 figures or beyond if you weren't analyzing your data, to be honest.
Now somebody is listening to this and thinking, oh my, do I have to analyze my data?
Yes.
Do you have to be, what, do you know your Myers-Briggs by that way?
I haven't done it for many years. I'm definitely an E and a J. I have it stood on my shelf here somewhere.
Yeah, I think you're INTJ.
What's really funny was I took the Myers-Briggs test at the same time as my partner, because we used to work in the same company together. So we worked for one of the world's largest oil and gas facilities, and we the whole department did Myers-Briggs together. And I remember us both being sat there doing it, and we came out as polar opposites on quite a few of these elements. I have both of our reports still somewhere because I thought it was hilarious that we viewed things so differently. But yeah, it's definitely an E and a J in there somewhere.
Yeah, yeah. But they are exactly good at doing what you're doing. So do you have any advice for the others who are opposite? Should we just give up?
No, I mean, everyone has to find their own path, right? And everyone has things that they are better at than others. You know, for instance, I absolutely detest doing human resource work. HR is not my bag. I'm not interested in it. I don't want anything to do with it. Like, take it away from me. So I know I need someone to do that for me. Absolutely 100%. And, you know, if data is not your thing, hire someone to do it for you as soon as you can. You know, I often talk about the fact the first time I did my own tax returns, I cried the whole way through it. It was just so awful. My tax situation was quite complicated as well, because I'd just come back from Russia and the Netherlands. It was just awful. And I said at that point, I'm never doing this again. So I've never done it again. And those are decisions that you can make, and you can, you know, plug the gaps in your own ability to lead your company, I think.
Very true. Yeah, we have to hire people that complement us, not to try to fix our weaknesses.
Yes.
And that's so important. I just gave one of my clients permission to not change the way he is. Like, he says he is creative and chaotic, and she thought she had to work on it and change it. I'm like, no, you hire people that complement you and you know, are finishers and you know, get things done and are not chaotic, are organized.
Absolutely. You have to go with your strengths. And I was working with someone the other day, and that person clearly wasn't the CEO of their company, but they wanted to be. And, you know, I sort of said, well, maybe you should hire someone to step into that role so you can continue doing all of that creativity. There is nothing wrong with that. Just work with your strengths and yes, your weaknesses as well.
So who did you think you needed to take things to the next level? If you're already analyzing all the data, what is the piece that will help you, complement you to the growth level you want to go to?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, we've just hired a chief admin officer. So that person is taking care of all HR, recruitment, all administration, basically running the back office. We've just hired a chief growth officer who is in charge now of growing the business by 150% to get us to 8 figures in the next 2 years. Very exciting. And there's a huge amount of work involved with that. You know, this year we've hired a head of education. We've got our head of student experience. We've hired a head of systems. So underneath those people, we have so many other roles. And next year, well, probably towards 2022, we'll hire a head of marketing. We're going to bring in a project manager. We're going to bring in affiliate coordinators. You know, we are just basically building it as we go along. But the people I really needed were those who could actually help me lead the team, lead the business, lead the project. So it's not me creating the project, scoping it out, project managing it, doing half the work, making sure everyone's getting on with it. I can't do that anymore, because I do have to be looking at those figures and the big picture. And I have to be able to come and do things like this with you.
Yes. Exactly, because that's still what a CEO does, and the owner of a business is being interviewed and speaker, being the face of the company.
Yep. And actually, interestingly, I found myself doing a lot more things like this since I've been able to free up my time. So I can go on podcasts, I can go on live streams, I can do videos of my own. And actually, that is what the business needs, because it needs spokespeople. Probably not just me either. I need to empower more of my team to do that. And we're working on that.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, you would say you needed to hire more senior people.
Yes.
That feels a bit scary to someone who's growing their business, like hiring people that, you know, instead of hiring a virtual assistant, you're hiring people that come with, years of experience, educated in that field, and maybe they're even smarter than you.
Yes, and that's what I want. I want them to be better at everything than me. I mean, then I don't have to turn up for work anymore. Which will never happen, clearly, because I can't let go of things. No. But no, I want them to be great at that, because why would I hire someone who isn't as good as I am? That would make no sense. I'd just be wasting my money. So no, I want great people in there. And yeah, it's terrifying when you make that first really senior hire, also because you invest in those people. They don't come cheap. But if they really, really deliver, then you're onto a winner. But the first thing you have to do once you start to grow, and you should know this because you've been telling me this for like the last 4 years.
I know. It's so easy to coach someone else than actually doing it yourself. And I love it when I interview people who are going through this phase or have done it already. I'm like, oh, I can, pick your brain.
That's brilliant. So for those of you watching, Sigrun and I have been in a mastermind group for 5-6 years now, and we met in person, every year for the last few years. Obviously not with COVID, we haven't done
not this year.
We've been in London for 4 years running, and every single year Sigrun's been sat there going, you need an operations lead, hire an operations lead. And then I find it really funny that that's now flipped.
Yes, I know.
You kept saying to me for all those years.
I know. It's so easy to see what can be improved in somebody else's business and then procrastinating on doing it in your own business. Exactly. But I love that. And I'd love to see, how much your business has grown as a result of actually taking that step. But it's scary.
Yeah, it's really scary, but you have to do it if you want to grow. And you also have to appreciate that you will make bad mistakes along the way. And I've made many, and I've hired wrong people and they've moved on. And, we've had lots of cases like that over the years, but you learn from it. And now I hope I've put in place a process that will prevent that from happening quite so often moving forward. And now we're really getting our operations under control. And I know that moving into 2021, it's going to be absolutely awesome with the people we have. So I'm very excited about that.
I'm excited for you. But I'm curious, when you hire so many people, how do you onboard them?
Well, this is why we have a chief admin officer. We always had a checklist. So I created an onboarding checklist and an offboarding checklist many, many years ago. And I've had quite a few HR consultants work with me over the years. None of them stuck, sadly. But now we have a really sort of fail-proof system. And so someone walks them through the whole checklist, and we make sure that they have that we have all their paperwork, that we have their bank details, that the first day, like yesterday, 2 new people started with us, and we had all of their meetings lined up in their calendars straight away. So at 9 a.m. our new chemist met with her line manager. At 10 a.m. she met with me. It's all planned out, and we know that we need to show her the new HR system, and we need to show her the e-learning platform, and it's all in a list so we can tick it off. And we spent years developing that onboarding system, but now it really, really works. And there aren't any more surprises where, for instance, our financial controller no longer says to me, who is this person and why am I having to pay them? We've had quite a few times. My financial controller is also my mother, so she doesn't hold back on telling me what's gone wrong in the process. So yeah, we have it under control now. And I'm really pleased with that, because it means also that the people who join us have a really good onboarding experience. And that's what's most important, because then they also come in full of enthusiasm and positivity. And they think, yes, this is the place I want to work at. And this is the place I want to stay with.
Yeah. Yeah. But then they start to work and their line manager will tell them what to do and keep them accountable to the numbers. Can you still give everyone a number also?
A number?
Is, does everyone have a key performance measurement?
Yeah. I mean, we have targets for the whole company. Those are then filtered down by different teams. And then the leaders of those teams are responsible for delivering on those targets with their teams. And we expect them to then set goals for their individuals working in their teams that align with the company goals. So it's sort of a trickle-down effect. It hasn't worked particularly well over the last few years because there have been quite a few blockages in the way that operations were run. But I think we've really unblocked that now. And for 2021, I have no doubt it's going to work like clockwork. In fact,
Yeah.
this morning and last night, I started to draft our goals for 2021 already, because I always go through this big planning exercise in December where I analyze our goals for the previous year, make sure that we look at exactly what went well, what didn't go so well, and then move forward. So yeah, it has to work like that, because otherwise people just have random targets, but they all have to align with where we're going as a business.
Yeah. So what's then coming next year for you? Like, what do you think? The hope is that we're coming out of this COVID by mid next year, but is there any stop in terms of interest in online business? I think this was just like a kick in the butt, and it's not stopping now. Or what is your impression?
I think it's going to continue for a while. I mean, yes, vaccines are coming onto the market, but I know for a fact I'm not going to get offered one anytime soon, because I'm not old enough or sick enough.
Yeah.
So, there's still going to be a large percentage of the population that will be unvaccinated. I don't see this disappearing anytime soon, which is very sad for a lot of people. For online businesses, it's potentially a real blessing. For us, I mean, we have achieved this level of growth mainly through organic marketing, which is pretty unique in where we are. So for us moving forward, we're now really going to start moving into paid marketing, affiliate marketing. And we launched our membership site alongside our courses in June this year. We tested it out for several months just to make sure it worked exactly as we wanted it to. We just signed up our 1,500th member. So we're going to really I use the word aggressive. I don't particularly like using the word aggressive, but we're going to aggressively grow it.
Let's just use that word.
Exactly. I mean, we have big plans to, sign up 10,000 new students a year, get over 5,000 members in our membership site, and really sort of take it to the next level. But quite frankly, where we sit at the moment, as I said, we're teaching people how to make their own cosmetics, either for themselves or to sell as a business. I want to take on the mainstream beauty industry. I want to say, you know what, guys, up till about 150 years ago, everyone made their own products. I'm going to try and take things back to that, because quite frankly, I think it's more sustainable. You can actually use your own natural ingredients and tailor it to your own skin and hair needs. And this is really where people are headed. And we've seen this with the food sector. We've seen this with clothes. We've seen this with, everything really. People are trying to go back to their roots. So my plan is to really try and take on the mainstream beauty industry and basically go, you know what, L'Oreal, you've had your time. We're coming for you.
Lorraine is coming instead of L'Oreal.
Exactly.
Exactly. Well, that was going to be my next question. Where is Formula Botanica in 10 years? Like, where do you see this going? Like, what's the purpose of the company?
I would like us to be a household name. So I would like every single person who wants to learn how to make their own beauty products to come to us and learn, and we will teach them. And honestly, I mean, we have 11,500 students in 170 countries at the moment. 170. I cannot get my head around that. We are almost global. I'm coming for North Korea as well.
Yes.
And we know that all of those people, regardless of where they live, all want to learn how to make their own beauty products. And we want to teach them, and we want to take that wider. And what's really interesting is I've spoken to quite a few advisors this year, including some financial advisors. And I don't want to generalize here, but I'm going to. Most of them were men.
Yeah.
They would often go, is there really a market for this? Aren't you going to saturate the market? And the answer to that is always, I always tell them to go and ask the women in their life if they would like to learn how to make their own beauty products. And invariably they come back and go, oh my God, yes, my daughter, my wife, my mother-in-law, my grandmother, they all want to learn how to do this. And they're like, they looked at your website, they want to sign up for a course. So I think we could achieve absolute global domination in terms of teaching people how to empower themselves and take on the mainstream beauty industry. So 10 years from now, Formula Botanica, I want it to be a household name, and I want everyone to feel empowered to be able to, create their own lotions and cleansers and shampoos and toners and everything else.
Would it maybe be a public company?
Who knows? Yes, possibly.
No. On NASDAQ?
Let's see where we
Ring the bell.
That would be a fun day, definitely.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Then we'll all say, hey, Lorraine was there. I saw her on a YouTube show.
Still wearing green. exactly.
Still very green, of course. But
Yeah.
why not?
Yeah.
You know, every company that goes public started somewhere, and especially a service-based company
Yeah.
has
It's
has,
interesting.
has the phase that you are going through right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think online learning is really going to change the way that education is viewed around the world. I mean, at the moment, we're seeing universities in quite a few places struggle financially. Some of them are going out of business because they are effectively in business. And I think online learning is really going to start rivaling that more and more. I don't know how big the sector is, but it's hundreds of billions from what I remember reading.
Yeah.
And I think that, yeah, something like Formula Botanica, business like Formula Botanica could absolutely be that big. Why not? In fact, I've already started to receive sort of cold call emails from investors, which I find fascinating. And it's now really starting to roll. And, you know, we're not selling, but I find it really interesting to see that that appetite is there, and they're starting to realize that online learning is the future. So we're going to be part of that.
Absolutely. But I could just also imagine if a company like Formula Botanica would go public, that this is also something that women would understand and invest in, versus a lot of companies that we're just not interested in, and that's why we're not investing in them.
Maybe. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I'm investing myself, I always look for things that are aligned with what I believe in. You know, I invest in a lot of ethical funds, environmental funds. So yeah, I think why not women-led funds, women-led companies? Absolutely.
We're going to see you one day on a TV show talking about the story of Formula Botanica.
I'll be on your TV show, Sigrun.
And my TV show, yeah. Well, you already are on the show, so.
Exactly. But in the studio, you know, obviously, and we'll still be clapping like a traffic light.
Absolutely. Yeah. Red, green. We need the yellow in between.
Yes.
Yeah. So what's happening right at this moment? What are you selling? You said you just launched your membership. Are you selling something at the moment, or when is your next launch coming up?
Next one is in January when we open up for term time. So at that point, all of our courses will be available. And yeah, I mean, we've already got thousands of people pre-registered for that. At the moment, we also offer a free course on our website, which is a free online formulation course where you can learn how to make a body butter and learn how to work with different ingredients and set up your workspace at home. So that's very popular if anyone wants to take that. Yeah, basically we are ramping down to Christmas and getting all of our plans ready, to be honest, because I always want to hit the ground running when I hit the next year. So when I come back from, well, I say come back, I don't stop working. When I start up my computer on
2nd of January, then you want to have a plan ready.
I have my plan ready. I know exactly where we're going. I know exactly how much money we're spending. I know exactly how much money we intend to bring in. And there's no ambiguity about it. And obviously that plan modifies throughout the year, but I love being absolutely prepared down to the small details. So that's what we're working on at the moment.
Brilliant. Lorraine, it's always a pleasure. I think you have been one of the guests that has come most often on my podcast, and now you came on my YouTube show, and you'll surely come again because we want to follow this journey. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been brilliant.